Right, moving on to my FMP context. So, it's Jack Fitzpatrick talking about my final FMP, the free running game. Reasons behind my game, as I talked about before when I was researching my game, the main reason behind my game was I wanted it to be a first person game because I watched a documentary about, well, really, disabled people getting helped out by playing games, specifically VR games that allowed them to experience things that they wouldn't have been able to experience otherwise. So what I looked at was like, because I couldn't do a VR game, and I didn't really want to do a VR game, I tried to make the most realistic game possible, first person, to make them get as immersed as possible in the game, to make them feel like they were playing it, to get them to feel like they were actually experiencing that themselves. I know using a VR set would have done that more because you feel like enveloped in the game, but I tried to do that as well as possible in my game via first person. I didn't really explain that well when I written it out, but that's really one that I wanted to explain. So also, I wanted to do a first-person game anyway because of the types of games the types of games I was looking at. I was looking at things that I've already things I do in real life, like sports like snowboarding, Muay Thai, motocross, that kind of stuff. So that's why I kind of wanted to do those type of games, because it was relatable to me and I thought they were most fun. But the reason I picked the free running overall was because, like I said before, I think it had the most possibilities. Like, it could have gone anywhere. There was so much you could have done with it, because literally I combined like 3 things that I've looked at. I looked at gangs, because like there's loads of gangs like GTA games, and then TV shows that you watch at home with graffiti, and then free running, because they all kind of combine. If you do free running, you're going to be around graffiti a lot of the time, and then if there's a lot of graffiti around a lot of the time, there's going to be gangs around. So I kind of like merged those together to get the final outcome that I created for my backstory and the game that I wanted to create. So the reason that I did the clothing the way I did was because it needed to look cool. Like, if you're gonna be like like you want to look cool because you're like the free runner, you want to have style, but the clothing you're wearing needs to be like, no one's gonna be free running in a dress, let's say that. Like, it needs to be versatile. It needs to be something that's actually practical. So I looked at clothes that I thought were stylish but practical at the same time. So that's the reason I came up with the way my character looked and the clothing that I thought he'd be wearing. So then the other things I looked at were the types of graffiti. Like, I looked at styles of gang tags like the Bloods use in America and stuff like that. And I took inspiration from that and tried to create what I thought would look cool in a game to represent the gangs. So I created like one of the most poisonous creatures in the game, in the world, I mean, as a gang sign. You always see gang members with knives or guns, so I created a gang logo with like a knife. Then I also created like a skull, like a death skull sign. So those were the gang logos then. They were each named. So the skull one is called the Death Boys. Then the blades, like the blade logo is the Blades, like literally the Blades. And then the Scorpions with the Stingers. So those were the 3 that I kind of created. For my content, like, I kind of wanted to add in like a coach, because it's a tutorial. I wanted like things to slide onto the screen and have like it appear like the buttons and controls and just telling you. But I also wanted someone like Coach Frank off Skate 3, to like explain to you like what to do if you didn't understand and that kind of stuff, and he'd speak to you, and he's kind of funny at the same time. So I had one of my friends do an accent, and I recorded these accents, and we come up with Paddy Tutorial, because he did an Irish accent, and he's a drunk hobo that gets paid by sandwiches to referee the races. So he's a drunk Irish hobo that does that, and I got audio and I put it into the game, but I didn't have enough time, like I said before, to actually implement it at like my main menu. So I had loads of ideas that were gonna go into this if I had more time. I think the best thing that I thought was really cool was my backstory that I came up with, was that you were an ex-gymnast that could no longer compete for certain reasons, but you still wanted to do something competitive that you could use your abilities to. So these 3 gangs offered you to join their crew, and you get to choose, and you have to race the other three gangs are out, like the other 2 gangs, one member from each gang around an abandoned building, and the first one to the top tags their clan logo, and that means that area of the city is their territory, which I thought was really cool, because you know how like gangs in America like tag their territory, and if the other gangs come to their territory, there's gonna be like a fight. I looked at artists for my context. I look at James Clyne. He did most of the artistic work for Star Wars. I know this sounds really odd because my game has nothing to do with outer space and all that kind of stuff, but I researched him because all the stuff he works with, like the way his work is created, is based off like metal. If you like, you're not gonna understand, but the way I perceived it was he's been painting stuff like that, the spaceship. It's in black and white, but there's ones where it's like not in black and white, and it's really cool because it shows like the metal material is all rusty and there's like sand coming off it. It's really cool. It's what I kind of perceived for the rundown metal textures and stuff like that, but then he also does like abandoned spaceships and abandoned like places that are in outer space, and it's really cool, and it was really helpful to look at his work because it gave me a few really good ideas with like the glass and stuff like that, and the way it was like, coming across. I thought it was really cool. So I researched all of his work. I looked at his art station. I looked at like other stuff like that he liked to do when he was a kid, because what I looked at was when you're like out doing stuff, like if you play outside a lot, you're gonna tend to be like a really creative kid. If you're doing stuff like this and you're going out and creating like traps and stuff, you are gonna be a really creative kid. You need a creative background, because if you just sat inside watching telly, you're not really gonna have. Because where does it say? I think it said that he used to create like little traps for catching snakes in his back garden and stuff. And I thought that was like really cool because it was like inspirational, I think.